Well, welcome back, everybody. I see that you didn't run off from last week, so that's a good sign. So I'm glad that you're all here. And we were talking about the Internet of Things, basically. We were talking last week about social media. This week we're going to be talking about CGI and video effects and also deepfakes. And I think that you're going to be excited and challenged. Some, people ask, well, what's this got to do with the Bible? Okay? If you're like that, think with me what Paul says. Now, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is praiseworthy, whatever is good report, well in these things. And yet, self-included, we tend to dwell on social media, and the news, and I would suggest to you that the line between reality and truth and non-reality and fiction are becoming more and more blurred in our culture. And so that's what I want to talk with you about. I picked this book up, I told you, at Dollar Tree. Yes, indeed. And that was after it was $1, not $1 more. I saw it, left it, and then had to come back because I said, no. And it's the truth. It's perfect. No, I'm not reading the book. But this is a real book, and you can order it, I'm sure, on the internet if you would like. What I want you to do is focus in on the Bible. So we're blaze through social media. What I ordered and what I got, we talked about that a little bit. All of us, this one is big. Do not order it either online. It's a surprise. But we talked a lot about that. Because all of us had those lovely experiences where what we ordered did exactly what most of what it looked like. We talked about how a photo shoot works and how nothing is left to chance. The prettiest, the handsomest, the oddest, the whatever are going to be chosen. And it's just, there's nothing left to chance. I would encourage you to do that. You're looking at those models, you're looking at those photos, you're looking at that car, and they're presenting somebody, and none of that is by chance. None. Like nothing is by chance. And then, of course, the magic begins with Photoshop. You yourself, your own Photoshop, $20 a month. Not too exciting? These things get cheaper and cheaper, faster and faster, and easier and easier to operate. But that's where the real magic begins. We're going to talk a lot about that with different individuals and situations. And we talk about memories that never work. I am sure you have either seen or shared some of these pictures on the internet. For instance, this guy has this big roll of glasses and put it up, and it's like, wow, that's cool. How did you do that? Oh, it's not that. That's what he did. That's not real. You may have shared this picture. Oh, they cool guys sitting up there on. How do you do that? But they did that with Photoshop. This one makes the rounds a lot. Right up here you see college. They had to put the C over here because there wasn't enough room in College of Architecture and Planning. Of all places, of all people who should have known better, measured it out. Well, in point of fact, they did. This is not real. Okay? I love this one. I always liked it. I loved this. It's not clicked. I don't think I shared it, but I loved it. This guy racing down the mountain, this bear is coming behind him, and the only problem is, it never happened. Looks good, doesn't it? Yes, indeed. But then it takes a little more sinister turn. You have this where this picture is of 2009, 10 years later. They've devastated the landscape, destroyed the greenery. Oh, those anti-environmental people, what is wrong with them, and blah, blah. In point of fact, it's bad. And to be quite honest with you, as I look at this picture, I was like, no, there's a little bit of difference right here, there's a crane there, there's not here, so forth and so on. And I'm even left to wonder, is that real? Okay. And I think that the point I want to make with some of this is, please be careful whose bandwagon you hop on. I know sometimes it's easy to get all gemmed up and emotional and frustrated about this picture, that picture, those dirty rats, those dirty Democrats, those dirty Republicans, those dirty independents, whoever, and you get all riled up and it's like, and they never happened. Okay? We talked about social media, masking pain. We went through several individuals. This lady had the guts to ask, will you please tell me what you were thinking of or what happened to you as you were having this picture taken? And we went through the whole list of people who really were having some difficult times, but their social media pictures were just grand. They were happy. They were excited. Life was good. And yet the boyfriends broke up with them. They lost their jobs. They were sick to their stomach. And this lady talks about being in therapy and also having her meds adjusted, etc., and real happiness often is not on social media. And I would leave this with, this is a book I just finished up. It's a nice little overview of cognitive behavioral therapy. But her point was this: really, who has a perfect life? Most people edit their lives to make them seem happier and less chaotic than they are in reality. I do. I'll be the first to admit. I would imagine you do too. If you don't, what's wrong with you? You're supposed to put a big face, a happy face, right? And yet, that's not always the case. And so, again, we get back down to what's biblical about this. And I'd like to ask you, what do you and I compare ourselves to in terms of our lifestyle? I'm concerned about young ladies and even older ladies who compare their body image to the carefully photoshopped, chosen models who appear on Facebook. They're not real people. They're not real. And I don't care whether you're talking about product, or person, or pornography. They have been worked over. Your family, your happiness, your body image, possessions, your station in life. To what do we compare ourselves? And what does it do to our contentment? Contentment is a big biblical subject. So, here's another one. Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light unto my path. One of the sources of our reality, besides our experience and our learning, etc., is going to be God's Word. That ought to be our reality construct. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Never look like that on a model. Don't ever let it fool you. But it gets more interesting. Are you ready? You saw this last week. Some. Aren't these beautiful people? I like them. Maybe a movie star. Dude that's, he looked like a basketball coach, you know? And he's the teacher of your kids. Or, you know, there they are again, all ages, all sexes, all ethnic backgrounds, etc. And then there they are, some look like movie stars, some just look like regular folks. He's a musician, I'll bet. And the real problem, of course, as you probably well know, is that none of these people are not one ever existed. They are a bunch of digits on someone's computer somewhere. Enough said, I guess. But you've already accepted this. You've already accepted this technology to a large degree. Really? Fake people, I accept that. Of course you do, you have. And we're going to talk about CGI, computer-generated imagery, and visual effects. Has anybody here been to a movie in the last year? Of course you have. Have you watched one on TV? Of course you have. Well, then you have been introduced, immersed in these two things. If you look over here, you remember this is from what movie? The Matrix. Yes, you're right. 1986, Flight of the Navigator. Anybody remember that? No, you don't. But it was one of the first ones to use computer-generated effects. In the 90s, we hit our stride, and we see all things like Terminator, we see Jurassic Park, we see Matrix, Toy Story. All of these are computer-generated effects, in part by a computer, in part by green screen and background. Let's look a little bit more. You are familiar with some of these characters. I want you to notice this guy right here. That's the real guy. And we put computer-located sensors on there so the camera reads his face and then transform him through CGI, video effects, to Davy Jones.
We have this where a crowd scene is behind the green screen, and when you see it on the movie theater, there's chaos and destruction. Planet of the Apes. You can't see them well, but he's got those same dots on his face, and he is transformed. Gollum, the Incredible Hulk, Avatar. You've already accepted. You know these. Who's over? Dave Jones is not real. Neither is Avatar. Gollum is a real guy, but he's so CGI'd up that you don't know who he is. And I love this picture. So here are the actors on screen. They've got the green screen in the background. They're taking the picture of them doing their thing, and then they're superimposing computer graphics in the background. And so you have this marvelous scene of this exciting battle scene. That's how it works. That's what you're used to. So what's the harm? No. Unless you're believing everything you see on the screen, no harm. Unless you're believing everything on the little screen, or believing everything on your computer screen, or your phone screen. That's where it becomes problematic. What's the harm? No harm, unless you're a video game, well, I said devotee, but addict, where you move around in this world of fighting cops and stealing cars and so forth, and somehow it affects your thought processes about how you really ought to act out in the culture. No problem. The writer's strike. Everybody's heard of the writer's strike, right? Yes, you have. I haven't noticed it yet. It hasn't affected my life. But who joined in with the writers? You're right, the actors. How did you do that, guys? Well, we're trying to show our solidarity here. That's not all. Because as you get into video effects and deepfakes, it's becoming easier and easier to take a actor's face and persona and impose it on the computer screen without them ever having intended of shooting the film. So now the actors are saying, you can't use my image and my likeness and my acting ability without my permission. So we're going, what?
Flip your switch.
Oh, no.
I've been going nuts back here and just found out you're on mute.
Do I need to repeat everything?
All right.
All right, so we're going to start over. All right. So now you get where the actors are coming from. And this is a very real possibility. But let's take it a little bit deeper. We're going to go into virtual reality or the metaverse. Did it escape everyone's attention that Facebook changed its name to Meta? Did you notice that? It's still Facebook, but now the company's name is Meta. It means all things. It means a comprehensive universe. So what has happened in the metaverse is right here, you're able to get Oculus glasses, anywhere from about $150 all up to $600 or so, depending on the quality of them, etc. And with that, and with your membership or enrollment into a particular site, you're able to walk into a world that's not real, but it can be real to you. You're able to move about, you're able to touch things, you're able to interact with others. You're able to create worlds. And by the way, this is a big thing. I did a little poking around right before this lesson, and someone has, Snoop Dogg has purchased property in this meta world. Guess what somebody paid to have property next to Snoop Dogg? It was about $450,000. And it's not real. You only access it, you only enter into it through your virtual reality glasses. Now what that means is that you can hold business meetings, you can interact with others over tea or coffee, through your avatar. Hey, is that where what's his name got the name for that movie, Avatar? You better believe it is. These are avatars. That may be a black male. That may be an Asian lady. That may be a black female. You get to choose your avatar. You get to choose how you interact in your world with other people. It is a world of non-reality, and yet very much real to a lot of people. Now, what's the upside of this? Education. This kid is interacting with a model of a machine, and so he is able to touch, rotate, manipulate, and otherwise interact with that. Let's say you've got a kid who's very much into engineering. He gets to play with a jet engine by this virtual reality. Or you can go to a museum, and instead of not touching anything, you can touch everything. It is possible, if you may have a smartphone like this, it's possible to scan an image, a 3D image, so that your avatar can walk in, touch it, pick it up, rotate it, look at it. The technology is becoming better and cheaper and more prolific. But you can walk through, look at the pictures. You can walk into an amazing place. Can you imagine walking into the Pantheon in Rome, looking around, touching the walls with your avatar? Yes, you can do that. You can walk around these pictures. Yes. And it gets even better. You say, can it get any better than this, Harvey? You bet. Now, Mike Dodson and I sat in for about an hour and a half in a virtual reality seminar given by a church. This is real. You select your avatar. You can go to the church in Metaverse. You can be totally anonymous. I can be whatever I want to be. And I don't have to say anything. I can scope you out. I can listen to the songs that the virtual band plays or the virtual choir. And I can even listen to a virtual sermon. We'll talk about that a little bit more next week. But already, there are virtual sermons. Let's see, who has been poking around in, yes, Steve Foster has been poking around in artificial intelligence. Okay, so a lot of us are going to have to own up to, but notice this, VR Church is a spiritual community that exists entirely in the metaverse that celebrates God's love for the world. All you need is your Oculus glasses, your avatar, and you can go to church in the comfort of your own home. What do you think about VR? Pretty cool, huh? Are there downsides? You bet. Interaction with reality. Comfort in your own world so that you don't have to face a world that's sometimes not so pleasant. Again, pornography. Again, violence. But are there upsides? Think about how we can communicate with the world by having a VR image of Tusculum. They can walk in. They can interact with Mark. They can interact with you if you have an avatar. They can listen to our worship. They can look at our materials. What about education? Would it be nice for a kid to be able to hold on to the Magna Carta itself and look at it and ponder about it? Or to walk through the Parthenon? I'm talking about the real Parthenon, not the one up on the hill over here. Plenty of upsides, lots of downsides, depending on how you want to interact with reality. All right, we got plenty of time. Take a deep breath because it gets better. All right. Notice this is deep fakes in you. Yep.
Thinking about my full-time employees and their ability to survive on $8 an hour in New York City. And foremost in all of our minds has been the loss and the grief felt by the people of Orlando. Most of us don't get our health care through the marketplace. We get it through our job or through Medicare or Medicaid. And what you should know is that thanks to the Affordable Care Act, your coverage is better today than it was before. Women can get free checkups, and you can't get charged more just for being a woman. To give his employees come together to pass a common, there's a bill that would boost America's very, very hard times.
Some progress, at least within the small confines of the legal community. I think it's real important.
Here we go. President Barack Obama, when you giving a speech, make sure you use a lot of pauses.
America's businesses have created 14.5 million new jobs over 75 straight months.
We're developing technology. Every technology can be used in some negative way, and so we all should work towards making sure that it's not going to happen. And even one of the interesting directions is that once you know how to create something, you know how to reverse engineer it. And so you can, and so one could create methods for identifying edited videos versus real videos.
This is problematic right now. Some of the government agencies are working on how do you tell a deep fake video from a real video. And let me just plant this thought in your mind, because we'll go on to some more that were really, what if that were President Putin? And he says, we're fed up with you, U.S. people. Be prepared for the attack. And it's not President Putin at all. Do you see now why I'm doing this series of lessons, why I'm saying, you know, what is your perception of reality? And what do you base your feelings, thoughts, etc. on? And it's not to make you totally cynical and doubt yourself, but ask you to think about the term discernment and truth and how you go about that. Let's hit this one. You'll like this one.
I'm a VFX and AI artist. I'm trained as a cameraman. I've been doing VFX for about 8 years. The first time I heard about deepfakes is the end of 2018. It was on a new channel where they were talking about people misusing the technology in pornographic videos. And that made me realize there were a lot of creative possibilities. A deepfake is a video where someone's face has been changed into another. So, for example, in the videos I make with Miles Fisher, you don't see Miles Fisher's face, no, you see Tom Cruise's face. I just overlaid it on top of Miles.
With your help in 2020, together, we'll dominate the ballot box. This is no stunt.
The way I train a deepfake is where I tell a computer model to start training on thousands of images of a certain character. In my case, it's Tom Cruise. Thousands of images, all his expressions, all his angles. So in the end, I have like one big model, and it's like one big Tom Cruise model. All of Tom Cruise's emotion is in this model.
Well, every now and then I like to treat myself. And it's good because discipline... Oh.
At the end of 2020, I got contacted by Miles Fisher, Tom Cruise impersonator, one of the world's best. He was doing this Tom 2020 project where he is impersonating Tom Cruise going for presidency.
Why vote for me? I'm not just your everyman. I've literally been every man. I've been a Navy pilot, a lawyer, and a Navy lawyer.
And a few weeks after the video, he contacted me again. And he asked me, would you like to do a collaboration? Just have some fun. So he sent me this video where he was standing in his garden and he was saying like, go watch my podcast, because Miles has a podcast. Go watch and listen to my podcast. It was just something really simple. And 2 days after I sent him the final video, he sent me a screenshot, and he actually made a TikTok account called Deep Tom Cruise. And he sent me a screenshot of the channel, and we had like 45,000 followers and 2.5 million views.
I'm gonna show you some magic. It's the real thing. I mean, it's all the real thing.
When you watch our videos, I want you to be perplexed, like, is this Tom Cruise or is it someone else? So the first video now is the one where he's playing golf, and that one went viral. It's unbelievable. The Twitter was overloading. If you typed it in YouTube or on Google, you'll find so many articles. And I think after a few days or after a week or two, we had like 10 million views on that specific video. We had a few videos, and all of them went viral in their own way. So you had a lot of people talking in the comment section, talking about, this is Tom Cruise. No, it isn't Tom Cruise.
Yeah. This guy on the left has been pulling a real Tom Cruise thing for a while with the deep fake.
Like Tom Cruise.
And when I saw this article, I was like, oh, makes sense why it looks so good, because the guy, his face shape is basically Tom Cruise.
Yes.
And they were like trying to convince each other to believe in certain ideas, like it's Tom Cruise just being weird because he's going to make a new movie.
The 4th of July. I'm Tom Cruise and I'm running for President of the United States. America, you complete me.
I'm guessing we got 100 million plus views.
Yeah,
At one point, Miles told me, maybe it's good.
Okay. What do you think of Tom Cruise deepfake? Now again, let's see, can I go forward, James? There we go. Nope. All right. You can't do this yet. It's important. It's a message I want to tell people. Each clip took weeks of work by combining traditional CGI and VFX with deepfakes. It makes it better. I'm sure you won't see any of the glitches. I'm convinced. That was Tom Cruise, right? Again, the potential for deception is just mind-boggling. The potential for commercial aspect in terms of saying to Tom Cruise, Tom, we'd like to use your face and your image in this movie. We can't pay you what you'd usually have, but you don't have to do anything. Just let us use, here's $5 million just to use your image. And if I were Tom Cruise, I'd say, yeah. The other downside is if someone wants to put you in a nasty video, boom, they can. Again, this is getting easier to do, cheaper to do, faster to do. All right, one more. Go ahead, James. This is from a Bloomberg report on deepfake videos. And you'll see a little bit of Obama again.
Make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time.
Jordan Peele created this fake video of President Obama to demonstrate how easy it is to put words in someone else's mouth.
Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet.
Not everyone bought it, but the technology behind such frauds is rapidly improving, even as worries increase about their potential for harm. This is your Bloomberg Quick Take on deepfakes. Deepfakes, or realistic-looking fake videos and audio, gained popularity as a means of adding famous actresses into porn scenes. Despite bans on major websites, they remain easy to make and find. They're named for the deep learning artificial intelligence algorithms that make them possible. Input real audio or video of a specific person, the more the better, and the software tries to recognize patterns in speech and movement. Introduce a new element like someone else's face or voice, and a deepfake is born.
It's actually extremely easy to make one of these things. There were just some breakthroughs from academic researchers who work with this particular kind of machine learning in the past few weeks, which would drastically reduce the amount of video you need actually to create one of these.
Programs like FakeApp, the most popular and widely available for making deep fakes, need dozens of hours of human assistance to create a video that looks like this, rather than this. In August, researchers at Carnegie Mellon revealed software that accurately rendered not just facial features, but changing weather patterns. and flowers in bloom. This advance is not yet available to the public. But with increasing capability comes increasing concern.
This is kind of fake news on steroids, potentially. We do not know of a case yet where someone has tried to use this to perpetrate a kind of fraud or an information warfare campaign, or for that matter, to really damage someone's reputation. But it's the danger that everyone is really afraid of.
In a world where fakes are easy to create, authenticity also becomes easier to deny. People caught doing genuinely objectionable things could claim evidence against them is bogus. Fake videos can also be difficult to detect, though researchers around the world and at the US Department of Defense have said they're working on ways to counter them. Deep fakes do, however, have some positive uses. Take Cereproc, a firm that creates digital voices for people who lose theirs from disease.
Speech synthesis is the artificial production of human speech.
There are also applications that could be considered either good or bad, like the many, many deepfakes that exist solely to turn as many movies as possible into Nicolas Cage movies.
Oh, hi, Mark.
All right. Okay. I wanted to introduce you to these things, and there's still one further level that we need to talk about next week, artificial intelligence, which when you combine it with deepfakes and the technology behind it and computer graphic interfaces and visual effects, it begins to blur the reality on where we usually place most of our interest and emphasis, and that is on the internet. My point here is not to make you cynical about everything you see on the news or on Facebook or any other social app that you're on. Rather, what I want you to do is to be discerning. I want you to think about reality itself. How do we function in reality? And how are our children going to interface with this technology and with reality itself? Already our children are being bullied online, and they're being called to task about their body image, etc., etc. And that's not reality. We're reality. This is reality. But it makes it harder sometimes when we have all this input to discern and to understand what reality is. I need not say more about social and political aspects. When you and I compare ourselves to others online, we've already seen, we were looked back into the 1980s and 1990s on Facebook and Instagram, etc. And now we're pulling up into the early 2000s with deep fakes, etc. Whose bandwagon are you going to choose and why? And then your worldview. There's this passage that's always perplexed me in 1 John where John says about Jesus, He has came and He has given us understanding. And it's an interesting word in the original language. It's a word of, He's given us a comprehension of reality. And so your worldview and how it's shaped. And as more and more we become immersed in the internet world, and we are, and no getting around it, then how is that worldview shaped? And how is it used for both good and evil? Let's remember once again, Abraham Lincoln, this is on his, it's an old-timey laptop, you can tell, but still, what he says is true. Right? The problem with quotes found on the internet is that they're often not true. Thanks, Abe Lincoln. We needed that. There.
opportunity, the Lord, several will be provided in the library at this time. And after this song, I'll ask Rodney Richardson to dismiss us in a word. Jesus, let us come to know you. Let us see you face to face. Touch us, hold us, use us, hold us.
Dear Father, we're so thankful again to have been able to be with our church family today. We are thankful most of all for Jesus, for your love in sending him and his willingness to sacrifice and come and be part of our lives and to show us how to live and to show us what is the way, what is truth, what is life, Father. And we ask that we will more and more trust in him and in you as we go about our day-to-day lives. Father, we ask that you bless the sick of our number, to comfort those that have lost loved ones that are suffering otherwise. And Father, to tell you that we thank you for all the good things you give us every day. Bless us as we leave to go about our separate ways, and let us all be in unity for you. In Jesus' name, amen.